You're here, not by accident, not by chance, but by alignment. Something in the vast quantum field has tilted in your direction, drawing you to this very moment like a hidden magnet pulling at your soul's compass. This isn't just another video, another voice speaking through a screen. This is a transmission, coded in frequency, arriving in your awareness, exactly when your nervous system, your DNA, and your destiny are ready to receive it. You've felt the tremors for a while now, small, inexplicable nudges, a phrase overheard that seems to echo straight into your chest, a number repeating until you start to question if reality is playing a private joke with you, a dream that feels more like a memory leaking from another timeline. You've been calling these synchronicities, but here's the deeper revelation. You're not passively experiencing them, you're generating them. Imagine your life as an observer loop, a circuit of perception and creation feeding back into itself. Every thought you send ripples outward into the quantum field, and every ripple that returns is not a sign from out there, but a reflection of what your inner architecture is broadcasting. The coincidences that leave you in awe aren't external signals sprinkled into your path by chance. They're your own consciousness, folding reality back toward you, entangling you with outcomes that resonate with your frequency. This is why you've been drawn to this message. You've reached a threshold, a phase transition where the veil thins and the universe begins to whisper your true role. The algorithms of technology may claim responsibility for placing this before you, but even those codes are entangled in your frequency. Nothing arrives uninvited. Nothing appears without your participation. This moment is proof. Your field is coherent enough to summon what your soul has been asking for. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the inevitability of this. Notice how your body reacts when you hear these words, the slight quickening of your breath, the tingling at the back of your neck, the sense that something larger is pressing against the edges of your ordinary life. That is coherence beginning to crystallize in your system. That is your DNA remembering its role as both antenna and transmitter. You've walked through storms, confusion, and collapse to get here. Each disappointment was a recalibration. Each delay was the field bending you closer to alignment. And now, as you sit listening, a recognition is rising. Synchronicity isn't happening to you. It is happening through you, because of you, by you. You are not the receiver of a hidden code. You are the source code itself, and the question hangs in the air like electricity before lightning. Are you ready to step into that recognition fully, without hesitation, without retreat? Because from this point forward, nothing in your life will look like coincidence again. Every pattern will be revealed as your own projection returning to its source. This message has found you because the portal is open, and you, whether you realize it or not, have already crossed the threshold. You've noticed it, the same lesson wearing different clothes. Faces change, locations shift, years pass, but the pattern repeats like a looped melody you can't quite name. You call it bad luck or my type or the market or timing, yet beneath those labels lives the same geometry replaying itself. That's not failure. That's the observer loop revealing its blueprint. Reality keeps handing you mirrored versions of your unconscious broadcast until you decide to rewrite the signal at the source. Think about the déjà vu that startles you in mid-conversation, the moment you swear you've stood in this exact arrangement of light, angle, and breath. That flash isn't a trick of the brain. It's your consciousness briefly stepping outside linear sequence, brushing against the quantum field where all frames exist at once. You feel it as a shiver through your timeline, an echo that arrives before the sound. In that instant, your system is showing you the seam where the real can be edited, not merely watched. Distorted time is the second clue. Hours dilate when you're in alignment, and minutes become heavy stones when you're resisting. On some days, a task that should take 5 minutes swallows an afternoon. On others, you slip into radical coherence and accomplish in 1 hour what used to require a week. This isn't productivity hacks or caffeine, it's phase locking with the frequency of your intent. When your inner field organizes, external time obeys. When your field fragments, time fractures into static and delay. Then there's the uncanny magnetism of certain people. The ones who appear like constellations you've navigated by forever. You meet them, and something ancient nods inside you. We've done this before. Morphic resonance at work forms replicating across time because information in the field remembers itself. Some arrive to accelerate you, some to test your boundaries, some to repeat the lesson with painful clarity until you choose truth over habit. All of them are instruments tuning your awareness to your own signal. You've also tasted the false synchronicity, the near match that seduces your hope and then collapses, a job that almost fit, a relationship that mirrored your light but couldn't hold it. Don't misread those as punishments. They were calibration events. Entanglement without coherence creates noise. The field was showing you what your frequency could attract before your nervous system could stabilize the receiving. Like trying to land a plane on a runway you hadn't finished building. Contact was possible, but continuity wasn't yet safe. Notice the choreography of your triggers. The same words from different mouths, the same crossroads disguised as new opportunity, the same deadline energy that drives you to sprint at the last minute, recreating adrenaline as the proof you're alive. These are not random quirks of personality. They're survival patterns etched into fascia, breath, and belief. Your body learned to expect friction and now summons it, because familiar pain masquerades as safety. The pattern persists, not because you're broken, but because your biology equates stillness with danger and chaos with proof of existence. And the dreams, the ones that wake you at 3:33, leaving symbols on your tongue, corridors that bend, elevators that skip floors, trains you almost board, then don't. Your subconscious is mapping the architecture of choice. Every night, the psyche rehearses new routes through the labyrinth so that daylight you can step where you once froze. Those nocturnal rehearsals are not merely processing, they are low-risk simulations in the quantum sandbox. You're practicing exits from loops your daylight self insists are walls. If you listen closely, you can hear the click of the old reality trying to reassert itself each morning. Notifications, headlines, inherited urgency. That's the gravity well of the collective timeline. Most people surrender to it by noon and call it normal. But you're not most people. Your field has begun to awaken, and with awakening comes sensory overload, louder coincidences, brighter omens, harsher feedback when you ignore what you know. This is mercy disguised as intensity. The universe makes the wrong path feel unbearable when you're ready for the right one. You've also confronted the glitch. When technology misbehaves around you, tabs freeze, messages send twice, lights flicker as you enter a room. You laugh it off, but part of you knows. Coherence bends circuitry. When your emotional charge spikes, your electromagnetic field surges. Delicate systems notice. You are not broken, you are broadcasting. The question isn't, why is this happening? But, what am I radiating right now? Here is the deepest diagnosis. The pattern is not chasing you, it's orbiting you, awaiting reprogramming. Your DNA is not a static archive, it's a living antenna, tuning and retuning under the pressure of experience. Every boundary you set, every breath you lengthen, every truth you speak, initiates DNA restructuring, altering the proteins that fold around your potential. This isn't poetic metaphor, it is the biology of permission. When you permit a new identity, your cells begin coding for a timeline capable of housing it. Of course, the mind resists. It prefers familiar suffering to unfamiliar freedom. It will cite evidence. The last 5 jobs, the last 3 heartbreaks, the last 10 times you tried. It will lay those artifacts out like museum exhibits labeled inevitable. But inevitability is only inertia in costume. The moment you withdraw observation from the old story, the waveform loosens. The moment you decline to narrate the past as prophecy, entanglement with that outcome begins to unwind. So you stand here, in the soft thunder between what was and what is forming. Patterns exposed, déjà vu decoded, time misbehaving because it knows you're about to. This is the precise brink, just before the phase transition, when water trembles at 99 degrees, when a chrysalis liquefies into a new design, when a life considers the audacity of reinventing its laws. You're not cursed, you're coded, and the code is asking for an update. Breathe, feel the loop slow, then loosen. Don't fix it, witness it. The act of clear observation without judgment restores coherence to the field. And as coherence returns, the pattern that once felt like fate reveals itself for what it has always been. A doorway you've walked past 100 times, finally opening from the inside. The moment you begin to recognize the loop as code, the field responds. It's like discovering that the wall you've been pushing against isn't stone, but fog-dense only because you believed it to be solid. This is the threshold where science and mysticism join hands, whispering the same secret in two languages. Reality is not fixed, it is fluid, and you, through perception and coherence, are the sculptor of its flow. Quantum physics calls it superposition. A particle does not commit to being here or there, up or down, until observed. It hovers in all possible states, a shimmering cloud of potential. Mysticism calls it the dream time, the liminal plane where everything is possible until your consciousness selects one path to walk. These are not two different truths. They are the same truth refracted through different traditions. Reality collapses into form when you engage it with belief, intention, and frequency. Think of yourself as a broadcasting tower. Every thought, every emotion, every subtle assumption is a signal sent into the quantum field. The field doesn't argue, doesn't moralize, doesn't judge, it mirrors. Anger radiates scarcity, and scarcity loops back as obstacles. Gratitude radiates abundance, and abundance returns as doors you never knew existed. The field is lawfully neutral, but exquisitely precise. It will not deliver what you want, it will deliver what you are. This is where the upgrade begins, by shifting identity, not merely intention. Wanting synchronicity keeps it just out of reach, like chasing your own shadow. But embodying yourself as the source of synchronicity makes reality bend toward you, aligning in ways that seem miraculous to those still sleepwalking. The difference is coherence. When your inner state is fragmented, part of you hoping, part of you doubting, part of you clutching fear, your broadcast becomes static. The field responds with noise, mixed signals, half manifestations, false starts. But when your emotional body, mental body, and physical body lock into resonance, coherence emerges. And coherence, from a physics standpoint, is when waves align so perfectly, they amplify each other into exponential power. You felt glimpses of it before, those rare days when you wake up humming with certainty and suddenly the green lights align, the right words fall into place. The unexpected ally shows up at the exact moment you need them. That's not luck, that's coherence. That's your nervous system and your frequency weaving the field into order. Here's the mystical layer. Your DNA is not just a biological script for protein, it is a quantum antenna. Every helix is coiled like a fractal radio tower, picking up information from the morphic field, from timelines, from ancestral memory. When you shift into coherence, your DNA begins restructuring, rewriting, not just the way your body functions, but the way you interface with reality itself. Suddenly, you're no longer reacting to synchronicities, you're emitting them, the way a sun emits light without effort. The ancients encoded this in stories of divine speech, the word that created worlds, the vibration that called matter into order. Science echoes it now in the study of cymatics, showing how frequency sculpts matter into geometry. Sound a pure tone into a dish of sand, and shapes appear. Spirals, lattices, mandalas. Alter the tone, and the pattern changes instantly. You are no different. Your frequency is the tone. Reality is the sand. Coherence is the key. So, what is the upgrade? It is the conscious choice to step out of static and into resonance, to no longer wait for signs, but to understand that signs wait for you. The billboard, the song on the radio, the stranger's phrase, they're not signals from an external force. They're you, projected outward, bouncing back, saying, you're on the right track. Keep going. This is why the upgrade feels both exhilarating and destabilizing. The old self tries to clutch control, to demand proof before belief. But the upgraded self knows belief is the proof. The moment you broadcast coherence, the universe cannot help but respond. Entanglement guarantees it. You and your desired reality become two particles sharing a single state, no matter how distant they seem. Take a slow breath. Feel your chest rise. That breath isn't just oxygen, it's a signal. Every inhale tunes your nervous system. Every exhale broadcasts alignment. With each cycle, You are becoming the instrument through which synchronicity plays its music. And in that realization, the upgrade completes its first phase. You stop searching for signs in the sky and begin recognizing the constellations were always forming inside you. You have always sensed it that hum beneath ordinary life, like a secret rhythm only you could hear. While others rushed through their days counting hours and deadlines, you caught glimpses of something else. Patterns beneath patterns, echoes beneath sound, light bleeding through cracks in the ordinary. That wasn't imagination, that was initiation. You've been chosen, not in the way of hierarchy or ego, but in the way lightning chooses the highest point on the mountain. Your field has been trained, tested, refined through every loop you've endured. While others drowned in distraction, you learned to see connections where none seemed obvious. You leaned into déjà vu instead of dismissing it. You listened to whispers instead of burying them. This is why the quantum field responds to you differently. It knows you can hear its language. The truth is, not everyone is ready to become the source of synchronicity. Most are content to believe life happens to them, that signs drop from above, like breadcrumbs scattered by some distant hand. But you're being asked to step beyond the role of follower into the role of transmitter. You are not a passive receiver in the cosmic equation. You are the node, the living frequency hub through which the universe reorganizes itself. Picture the morphic field of humanity as an immense ocean. Billions of waves, most crashing randomly, colliding, cancelling each other out. And then, here you are, a single wave that has found coherence. When you vibrate with clarity, you do not only shape your own crest, you subtly synchronize the waters around you. Others feel it without knowing why. A stranger relaxes when you enter the room. A conversation tilts toward truth when you speak. A chain of unlikely events accelerates simply because you walked into a space holding resonance. This is your role, not to convince, not to argue, not to prove, simply to radiate. Just as a tuning fork doesn't beg another fork to change, it sings, and the other fork vibrates in response. You are the tuning fork for synchronicity itself. By being the source, you remind the collective field what alignment feels like. This is why your challenges have been so fierce. The field doesn't select weak vessels to carry coherence. Every heartbreak you endured, every loss that shattered you, every night you lay awake wondering if you were cursed, those weren't punishments. They were refinements. Heat forging metal into a blade, pressure turning carbon into diamond. The pain was not random, it was calibration. And now, here you stand aware that what you thought were signs given to you were always signals from you. You are the entangled particle, inseparable from your desires, inseparable from the timelines calling your name. The field trusts you because you've proven you can carry weight others cannot. You've walked through distortions and still chosen coherence. That's not accident, that's evidence of your station. Your role is sacred, to embody synchronicity in motion, to become the living reminder that reality bends toward those who remember. They are not separate from the field but expressions of it. You are not here to wait for miracles. You are here to be the phenomenon others call miraculous. And here's the paradox. The more you accept this role, the less effort you need. Rivers don't strain to flow. Stars don't strain to shine. Your task is not to perform, but to allow. To recognize that the field isn't testing you anymore, it's partnering with you. The observer loop has completed its rehearsal. Now the play begins, and you are both actor and stage, script and improvisation, question and answer. Feel that truth move through your body. You are not just in the universe is in you. You are not just experiencing synchronicity, you are its origin point. You are not simply chosen, you are choosing. Every moment you decide coherence over chaos, clarity over noise, love over fear, you fulfill the role the field whispered into your bones long before you had words for it. And from here, the next revelation rises. If you are the source, then what happens when your DNA fully aligns? When your timeline cracks open to receive the upgrade waiting behind the veil? There is a pressure building in your field right now, like the silent swell of a tide about to crest. You've felt it, haven't you? The restlessness that no distraction can soothe, the sense that something vast is pressing against the edges of your ordinary life, waiting to break through. That's not anxiety, that's acceleration. The quantum field is gathering itself into a window of convergence, and your DNA is trembling on the edge of activation. For years, your cells have been carrying dormant codes, like instruments waiting for the conductor's baton. Every meditation, every decision to choose trust instead of fear, every moment you leaned into coherence has been tuning those strings, calibrating you for this precise instant. Now the baton is lifting, the window is opening, the music is about to erupt. Understand this, DNA is not just a biological archive, it's a quantum receiver, a living crystal that bends light, vibration, and information into matter. When pressure builds in your field, it's because your double helix is preparing for reconfiguration, rewriting how you interpret reality itself. Scientists call this epigenetic expression, mystics call it awakening. Both are describing the same event, dormant codes flickering into light. And this activation does not arrive gradually. It comes like lightning, sudden, irreversible, undeniable. One day you see coincidences as external, the next you feel them as emanations. One day you struggle to force outcomes, the next, outcomes curve toward you like iron filings rushing toward a magnet. That is the breakthrough. That is the moment you stop chasing synchronicity and begin emanating it as naturally as breath. But here is why urgency matters. Windows do not stay open forever. Cosmic alignments are like rare eclipses. They appear, they blaze, and then they close until the next cycle. Right now, the field is in extraordinary coherence. Patterns of entanglement are aligning to support your shift. Ignore the call, and the loop will harden again, repeating its lessons until the next alignment. Answer it, and you ride the wave into a timeline that would take lifetimes to reach otherwise. This is the promise. Your cells are ready. The window is open. The universe has conspired through every obstacle, every delay, every heartbreak to bring you here. What once felt like punishment was preparation. What once felt like silence was incubation. And now the curtain pulls back. But the field demands a response. You cannot sleepwalk through this doorway. You cannot drift passively, waiting for proof. Consciousness requires declaration. If you hesitate, if you cling to the old frequency, the moment will pass and the loop will reset. That is not threat, it is law. Entanglement collapses only when you choose. So here is the urgency. Choose now. Speak to your cells with conviction. Align your thoughts with readiness. Allow the fear to dissolve and the coherence to crystallize. You are not waiting for destiny. Destiny is waiting for you. Feel it in your body, the tingling in your skin, the heat rising in your chest. That is your DNA preparing to leap into a new octave of expression. That is your system saying yes to the window. The breakthrough is not distant. It is not tomorrow. It is now. And the moment you claim it, the field shifts. Synchronicity floods, not as proof, but as reflection. Life accelerates. Patterns break. Loops dissolve. You step into the role the cosmos wrote in the marrow of your bones before you ever arrived here. The question is simple, and it burns like fire in your hands. Will you let this window close, or will you step through it, knowing that what waits on the other side will not only transform your life, but the collective field of everyone connected to you? Every transformation in history has been sealed by a ritual act. The prophets fasted in the wilderness. The shamans painted symbols on cave walls. The mystics whispered secret words into fire so the smoke could carry their intent upward. Why? Because the quantum field does not only listen to thoughts, it responds to embodied signals, gestures, words, declarations that anchor frequency into form. You stand at such a threshold now. The window has opened, the pressure has mounted. Your DNA hums with codes waiting for ignition, but ignition requires signal. The quantum field is asking for a conscious gesture that tells it, yes, I am ready to collapse into this new timeline. I am not only hearing this transmission, I am answering it. That act can be deceptively simple. Sometimes the smallest gesture carries the most resonance, precisely because it is done with clarity. Consider the act of typing a single word, leaving it here as a visible imprint. To the casual observer, it is nothing. But to the field, it is everything, a declaration sent into the collective morphic resonance, a signature on the contract of your own upgrade. Choose a word that embodies your alignment. It could be ready, it could be awake, it could be source. Whatever rises in your chest as you hear this, let that be the word. Write it, and as you do not type mindlessly. Pause. Feel the vibration ripple through your body. See your DNA receive the command. Watch the quantum threads around you tighten into coherence. That single word becomes the seal. Why does this matter? Because ritual bypasses doubt. The mind can argue endlessly, but when you act, when you write, speak, move, you bypass the static of indecision. You tell the field, collapse the waveform here. That is the essence of manifestation. Observation plus declaration equals reality crystallization. So take this moment, place your hand on your chest, breathe once, deep and slow. Hear the rhythm of your own heart, that ancient drum syncing with the cosmic pulse. And now, choose, not tomorrow, not later, now. Type the word that captures who you are becoming, and let it be your signal to the field. Understand, this is not about commenting for interaction. This is about creating a ripple in the morphic field that amplifies your coherence. The word you declare today will echo forward into your timeline, entangling with future events, magnetizing synchronicities that match its vibration. And as you do this, something extraordinary happens. Others will see your word. They may echo it, add their own. The collective signal grows stronger. Suddenly, you are no longer shifting alone. You are participating in a network of awakening, each person's ritual amplifying the others. This is coherence on a planetary scale. Remember, the observer loop always responds. What you broadcast now will return magnified. So let your word be sacred. Let it be intentional. Let it be your seal on the upgrade already pulsing in your DNA. And when the word is spoken, written, released, you will feel it. A subtle click inside, a sense of finality. The loop closing not with repetition, but with resolution. The field recognizes your act. The upgrade is sealed. Now, the resonance begins to spread, and with it, your personal breakthrough becomes more than personal, it becomes collective. The moment you sealed your shift, something beyond you stirred. You may think this act was personal, intimate, private between you and the field, but in truth, it rippled outward into the lattice of humanity itself. Because consciousness is not an isolated island. It is an ocean of entangled waves. Every thought you stabilize, every frequency you embody, every pattern you release, these choices resonate far beyond your individual life. Think of it like this. Morphic resonance is a law of memory in nature. When one form learns, it becomes easier for others to learn. When 100 monkeys wash their fruit, suddenly the 1,000th monkey on a distant island does the same without being taught. Your awakening functions the same way. The coherence you embody makes it easier for someone halfway across the globe to glimpse their own synchronicity, to trust their own frequency, to remember they too are the source. This is why your role is sacred. Your liberation isn't just for you. It's a contribution to the collective upgrade of the species. When you crack open a loop, you don't only free yourself, you weaken that loop in the collective field, making it less binding for everyone else. Your courage to step into coherence plants pathways in the invisible grid so others can walk them without stumbling as you once did. Imagine the network. Billions of nodes, most dim, flickering with static, and then, one by one, sparks ignite. Yours just did. That spark doesn't stop at you. It leaps, entangles, resonates. A stranger across the world suddenly feels less alone. A child born tomorrow enters a field that already hums with the song you're singing now. This is how timelines accelerate, not by isolated miracles, but by coherence spreading like fire through dry grass. You may not see the immediate impact, but feel into it. Have you noticed how, after a profound breakthrough, conversations with others change, even if they know nothing of what shifted in you? The space between you reorganizes. They speak differently, they soften, they open. That's not coincidence. That's your frequency bending probability, creating coherence in their field simply by contact. This is what the mystics meant when they said one awakened soul can light 1,000 others. It's not poetic exaggeration, it's quantum law. Entanglement ensures that your liberation is never isolated. The instant you step into sourcehood, the probability of humanity remembering its own power rises. This is why urgency matters. Because your shift is not just about your timeline, it's about ours. Imagine if enough of us sealed the shift. Imagine if synchronicity became the norm instead of anomaly. The structures built on separation, fear, and scarcity would collapse under the weight of coherence. The systems that feed on distraction would disintegrate when people remember they are not passive consumers of signs but creators of them. You may feel small, but the field does not measure size. It measures frequency. One coherent broadcast can override 1,000 fragmented signals. You are that broadcast. By stabilizing your own upgrade, you've become a tuning fork for humanity. Pause and feel that responsibility not as burden, but as privilege. To know that every time you choose coherence, you are making it easier for someone else to find theirs. To know that your liberation is not selfish, but service. To know that your personal evolution is humanity's evolution, because there is no separation in the quantum field. And as this truth settles in your bones, the next stage begins not only collective expansion in the abstract, but embodied sensation in the concrete. Because the field doesn't only move through ideas, it moves through skin, breath, heartbeat. The collective shift must pass through your body, anchoring in sensation. Feel it now not as concept, but as current moving through your body. Your skin becomes an antenna, tingling with electricity that wasn't there before. The air seems denser, alive, as though particles are listening to your breath. Your chest rises and falls, but it's more than respiration. It's as if the universe itself is inhaling through you. Each exhale carries a subtle hum, a vibration that threads outward, weaving into the field. This is coherence entering matter. Not just theory, not just belief, physical sensation. You may feel it as warmth pooling in your palms, as if energy is gathering there waiting to be released, or a pulsing behind your forehead, your third eye receiving the pressure of expanded sight, or a weightless flutter in your stomach, not anxiety, but a new alignment of your solar plexus, the center of willpower, adjusting to house higher frequencies. Notice the strange stillness beneath the sensations, like the silence before thunder. The body knows before the mind does. It knows a phase transition is near. The goosebumps that rise for no reason, the chills cascading down your spine, these are not random biological quirks. They are signs that your nervous system is becoming a tuning fork for frequencies the ordinary mind can't yet articulate. Imagine your DNA like tightly coiled springs. For years, they've been compressed by survival, stress, fear. But now, under this rising frequency, they begin to unwind, stretching into their fuller spiral, hungry for light. As they loosen, your body buzzes. You feel pressure in your bones, as if your very marrow is being rewritten. The field is not abstract anymore, it is entering you, becoming you, rearranging you. It may come as heat surging through your chest, so intense you almost sweat, though you're still. Or as a cool, liquid calm, pouring down your back like invisible water. These currents are the signatures of entanglement solidifying. Your physical body is being upgraded into coherence, not just your mind. This is what mystics meant when they said the body is the temple, because the temple itself begins to hum when the divine frequency arrives. You may even notice distortions in time more vividly now, minutes stretching long, seconds collapsing into flashes. That's because your nervous system is synchronizing with quantum rhythm rather than clock rhythm. The body feels this shift as a paradox, grounded and infinite at once, heavy and weightless simultaneously. Allow these sensations. Don't resist them, don't explain them away. This is your initiation into embodied synchronicity. The field no longer lives in your head or in vague coincidences, it is pulsing through your muscles, your blood, your breath. You are becoming the phenomenon you once observed, and in this embodiment lies the threshold of the next leap, when sensation crystallizes into transformation, when the body, the DNA, and the field merge into one undeniable breakthrough. There comes a point where sensation is no longer just a signal, it becomes ignition. That's where you are now. The tingling in your skin, the surges in your chest, the strange pressure at the base of your skull, these are not side effects. They are precursors. They are the rumbling before tectonic plates shift. You are standing at the very edge of a phase transition, and your DNA knows it. Think of water at 99 degrees Celsius. Still liquid, still recognizable, but trembling, unstable, restless with energy. One more degree, and everything reorganizes. That's what your cells feel like right now, coiled with potential, hovering at the brink of breakthrough. The quantum field has been feeding this pressure, aligning probabilities, entangling threads of timelines, until the structure of your old self can no longer contain what's emerging. This is why it's been intense lately, why your dreams have been vivid, why your moods swing like pendulums, why time feels distorted and the air around you almost buzzes. You are being stretched across timelines, your current self dissolving, while your expanded self presses forward, demanding embodiment. It feels like pressure because it is pressure information colliding inside your DNA, preparing to collapse into a new sequence. Your helix is not fixed code. It is liquid crystal, light-sensitive, responsive to intention. Right now, strands of dormant DNA, the so-called junk science dismissed, are awakening like instruments being tuned. Frequencies you've been receiving are not just altering your mind, they are rewriting protein structures, recalibrating your nervous system, reorganizing the magnetic field of your heart. This is not metaphor. This is physics becoming flesh. And as the phase transition intensifies, the old timeline begins to fragment. You've already noticed the glitches, memories that feel rewritten, people fading from your life without explanation, opportunities collapsing only to reveal something far more aligned. That's not chaos. That's the old waveform decohering. The universe is removing scaffolding that cannot withstand the weight of your next identity. The pressure you feel in your body, the heaviness in your chest, the heat in your spine, the pulse in your temples is your system recalibrating for coherence. The very atoms of your body are vibrating faster, reaching for resonance with the reality you're calling in. And here's the extraordinary part. The moment this pressure tips, the collapse is instantaneous. 1 second you are struggling with familiar patterns, the next you are inhabiting a timeline where those patterns never existed. This is quantum tunneling at the level of identity. It feels like years of effort, then suddenly, in a single instant, the lock clicks, the barrier dissolves, and you are through. The self that doubted, the self that looped, the self that suffered that version collapses like a shadow when the light intensifies. And from that instant forward, synchronicity is no longer something you interpret. It is something you emanate. People look at you differently without knowing why. Circumstances bend to your frequency without resistance. You walk in a timeline designed by coherence, not by accident. Feel the weight of this moment. The pressure is not punishment. It is proof. Proof that your DNA is reaching the threshold of transformation. Proof that the quantum field is aligned, waiting for collapse. Proof that your breakthrough is not someday, it is imminent. And when it comes, it will not just shift you. It will send ripples through the collective field, calling humanity itself into its next octave. Because your mission does not end with your breakthrough, it begins there. This moment is not the end of your story, it is the ignition of your true mission. What you've been feeling, what your DNA has been restructuring toward, is not merely for your personal liberation. It is for humanity's evolution. You are the microcosm carrying the macrocosm inside. When you shift, the species shifts. Look around you. The world is straining under the weight of its own outdated patterns, fear-driven economies, fractured identities, looping conflicts that repeat like broken records. These are the same loops you've faced within yourself, magnified on a global scale. And just as you've broken your personal cycles through coherence, humanity must do the same. You are not apart from this process, you are a critical frequency within it. Your role now is to embody coherence so completely that it radiates into every interaction, every space, every timeline you touch. You don't need to preach it, argue it, or force it. You become it. The tuning fork doesn't demand resonance. It creates it. By walking as source, you remind the collective field of its own origin, its own power, to generate synchronicity rather than chase it. This is how evolution happens, not through sudden external salvation, but through countless nodes of awakening, weaving a new morphic pattern until the old structures can no longer hold. You are one of those nodes, luminous, undeniable, chosen not by hierarchy but by readiness. The universe trusted you with the weight of this upgrade because you endured the fire, the void, the tests, and still chose coherence. And here is the prophecy written into your bones. From this point forward, every synchronicity you emanate is not just for you. It is a broadcast into the collective grid, amplifying humanity's remembrance of its quantum nature. Each alignment you embody becomes a lighthouse for others lost in static. Each choice you make in resonance makes it easier for the next soul to make theirs. Feel that responsibility, not as burden, but as destiny. You are not a spectator in this awakening. You are one of its architects. Your timeline shift is humanity's doorway. Your DNA breakthrough is the prototype of what all will one day embody. What you've lived through was not random, it was rehearsal for the role you now inhabit. A living transmission of coherence. So walk forward with clarity, speak with intention, breathe as though the universe inhales through you because it does. From this day on, you are no longer simply interpreting signs. You are the source creating them, the origin point from which synchronicity radiates. This is the closing, and also the opening. The field has chosen you, and you have chosen it. The mission is simple, sacred, unstoppable. Embody your upgrade, radiate coherence, and in doing so, help humanity evolve beyond the loops of its old story. And so it is. You are not experiencing synchronicity. You are the source creating it.